Millions of people love this little bug. At night when it lights up, people love to watch fireflies. Except if you're West African. To them, fireflies are the stuff of nightmares. In their folklore, an evil spirit called Adze assumes the shape of a firefly. It then sneaks into houses at night and starts sucking the blood of humans. No, not like a pesky little mosquito bite. We're talking copious amounts of blood, more like a vampire. Try to catch it and it zips back into its original form. A black, swirling mass that can possess you and drive you insane. Did you know that such myths about shapeshifters are as old as time? We look at shapeshifters from across the globe, and to learn about the shapeshifters of India that terrorized coastal towns till recently, watch till the end. We start with New Zealand, a place famous for having no snakes, no crocodiles, not even gators. So if you're visiting here and love swimming in lakes, what should you watch out for? According to the Maori, it's this. Just a log of wood, as you can see. Or is it? The Maori speak about a monster called Taniwa that lurked in lakes, taking the shape of a log of wood, complete with green, glossy moss, looking exactly like a log floating gently in the lake. That's until someone came close by. In a flash, the log would morph into its true form of a huge beast and seize and devour the person right away. This is where our story takes a jaw-dropping twist. The man-eating Tanivas became a huge part of Maori culture, and keep watching to find out why. To start with, want to know exactly what they look like? Here's a sculpture of a Taniva by a lake. Don't miss its front toes. They're unlike any other reptile, more like human hands bent into a fist. That's because the Taniva had a nasty trick up its sleeve. It could shapeshift into part human or fully human form. And get this, they were said to have the power to control water currents in lakes and rivers. So we have a massive monster that could rip a man into shreds, direct the flow of rivers, and off into almost anything. You can guess where this is going. As superhuman creatures that towered over people, the Taniva earned enormous respect. But here's the shocker, they got the role of protectors. Believe it or not, but each tribe had its own Taniva as a guardian. They would protect the clan from other Maori tribes and from being gobbled up by other Tanivas. The Maoris say that the Taniva were present from the dawn of time. It's only over the last 300 years that the Taniva's power over humans waned and they vanished from human sight. And if you think this is an ancient belief, just look at what happened in New Zealand in 2011. The New Zealand government was all set to build a new train line in the heart of Auckland, except that the local Maori did not let this project get on track. According to them, the train line would destroy the Waihorutu stream, which they say is home to Taniva called Harutu. Did such a being actually exist? The Maoris are convinced it did and still does. Nature is also great at camouflage. For instance, see if you can find the animal hidden in these pictures. Impressive, but the real pro at camouflage in nature is the octopus. Just watch as it morphs into different forms. It can match both color and texture. Which brings us to the most important question here. Is it possible that otherworldly beings such as Taniva also possess similar traits? According to myths from all over the world, most supernatural beings could shapeshift. For example, India's myths talk about half-human, half-serpent beings called Nagas that could morph into human form. If you'd like to find out what happened when a human chanced upon a Naga, there's a previous video about this. You can click a link in the description below. Can you spot the Greek god here? It's Zeus in the form of a snake. So gods and demons of most ancient cultures were said to shapeshift. But what about humans shapeshifting? This brings us to the dreaded skinwalkers of the US who are from the Navajo tribe. Most Navajo people today live in what they call reservations in Arizona and the Four Corner states. Skinwalkers are Navajo medicine men and women who are so dangerous that they're expelled from the tribe. And beware if you're visiting the res. Never ask the Navajo people about skinwalkers. In fact, you shouldn't even whisper about them while on the res. It's forbidden, and doing so will get you kicked off the res. Why is it taboo, and how does a person become a skinwalker? As per Navajo beliefs, a skinwalker is a medicine man or woman who can morph into an animal, usually a deer or a coyote. In this form, they get the traits of the animal such as strength and speed, which gives them an edge over humans. a superpower if you will. All these powers come at a terrible price, but it's a price that the skinwalker is willing to pay. In their quest for power, the skinwalker has to kill someone. Not a random stranger, but a close family member. Someone whom they actually love. After murdering their loved one, they're ready to strike again. This time, it's a deer or a coyote. They cut its head off and remove the skin and wear it over their own head, hence the name Skinwalker. Wearing the skin is said to give the sorcerer all the powers of the animal. And even more disturbing, they also gain such astonishing mental powers that the mere whisper of skinwalkers attracts them to you. And that's why it's taboo to discuss them. Not to mention that they've actually murdered someone on the rest to become a skinwalker. Can a skinwalker shapeshift into complete animal form? Some say that skinwalkers can fully shapeshift, while others say that they only get the animal's traits. The taboo makes it hard to get information. But then, some shocking incidents may tell us more, where skinwalkers prey upon non-natives. You see, there have been dozens of cases of non-native people who had terrifying encounters within the reservations. Unlike the Navajo, they are free to talk about them as they don't live there and so don't have to deal with the consequences. So, what happens in these encounters? To understand this, you first need to know about where the Navajo reservations are based. They're unlike any other place on earth. They are set in vast open desert that's empty for hundreds and hundreds of miles. In fact, these encounters often occur when non-natives are driving. Here you can drive for hundreds of miles without seeing a single other vehicle or even a single building. You're in the middle of nowhere. This is where things get strange and terrifying for some people. People who report these encounters all say the same thing. They notice they're being followed. When they turn to look, it's a coyote chasing their vehicle. Soon, the coyote is running next to the car so that the driver can clearly see it. It's then that the driver senses that things aren't what they seem. Though the coyote looks normal, its demeanor is threatening. As the frightened driver tries to rush away, the coyote hounds them at insane speeds. We all know how much dogs love chasing cars. So how is this different? If these reports are true, the coyotes are able to match the car speed even up to 60 miles an hour and for a long time. That's not normal for a coyote. In fact, these incidents are happening to this day. There's a previous video about this. You can click a link in the description below. So what happens in this face-off between skinwalkers and humans? Well, the skinwalker finally goes away after having fun at our expense. And so, these encounters always end without causing any harm to people. Unlike the victims of the horrific shapeshifters of India, Odiyan were the occult practitioners of Kerala who thrived as recently as the 1970s. To join, a person apprentices himself to a tantric master. In the West, tantra is usually equated with sex magic, but in India, it's often linked to black magic. In the dead of the night, the occult master leads the novice deep into a thick jungle and deserts him, leaving him alone in the blackness of the jungle night. Moments later, a furious tiger comes thundering from the darkness, leaping right at the apprentice, ready to tear him to shreds. Can the novice face the tiger with courage? Is he ready to fight it to save his life? If yes, he's passed the first part of the test, because that wasn't a real tiger who attacked him, but only his master in the form of a beast. Yet, this is just the beginning of his test, because next, the novice has to spend the rest of the night alone in the jungle with horrific, blood-curdling screams all around him like a Dolby surround system. These are not the growls of wild animals, but something worse. These are unseen demons summoned by the occult master using his conjuring powers. If he can survive the night without running away, he is accepted as a member. He then learns how to climb up and down trees with lightning speed, and strangely, even how to run on all fours like an animal, as well as black magic, of course. Finally, he's sent off on the ultimate and horrific quest to procure a specific substance that would give him the power to shapeshift. Trigger warning ahead, without pictures. To obtain this, the novice has to go in search of a woman who is pregnant with her first child. He marks her home and covertly observes her family's routine. He is back on a full moon night. He waits till midnight when everyone in her house is fast asleep. The power of the sorcerer's occult influence is so strong that the woman suddenly wakes up and is compelled to leave her home and go outside. Here the man lay waiting. He would cover her mouth to stop her from screaming and quickly kill her with a strike on her head and then proceed to tear the fetus out of her belly. What happens next is just as ghastly. He would take the fetus to an isolated place. He would then make a concoction of these amniotic fluids, apply it behind his ears, and perform dark rituals which would give him the power to shapeshift into an animal. But he had to rush because something was coming soon. Something that would shatter the illusion. Daybreak. As the sun's first rays fell upon this beast, he would begin to transform back to his human form. As you can expect, these gruesome acts provoked a backlash. You see, the Odiyan were sorcerers from a specific tribe, and they were despised even by other related tribes due to their sorcery. It got so bad that during the 1800s, the other tribes banded up against the Odiyan, and several massacres of the Odiyan took place. The warrior caste, the Nayars, who just happened to be powerful landowners, shunned the Odiyans and wouldn't even let them enter their villages. But this is where the story takes a shocking twist. Over time, the Odiyan ended up working for the very same people, the Nayars, whom they'd often had deadly clashes with. Worked as what, you might wonder? The answer is pretty shocking. They were hired to kill other family members of the Nayars, as hitmen to finish off anyone who posed a threat to their land. This was seen as a way to settle land disputes that the Nayars had within themselves. To be clear, the Odiyan did not represent the whole tribe. They were just men who chose the sorcerer's dark path. There's more stunning info coming up, but if it's your first time hearing about the Odiyan, please give this video a like and subscribe. But the Nayars were so formidable that the Odiyan did not dare to attack them directly. This is because the Nayars were a warrior caste adept in Kalari, said to be the mother of all martial arts on earth. And so fighting with Nayar men would be futile, not to mention even some of the women, as the Nayars were a caste where bloodlines were determined by women, and so many Nayar women excelled in Kalari. When hired as contract killers, the Odiyan first got acquainted with the daily routine of their target. The Odiyan would always work in pairs just to give the illusion of magic. They would strike only at night and when their victim was in an isolated area. This was in the days before electric lights arrived in these small towns, when people used hurricane lanterns while walking at night. Just as the victim arrives, the Odiyan morphs into an animal like a goat or a bull. The victim would clearly see the animal standing close by, but right away he'd notice that something was amiss, something strange about the animal. For instance, why does this bull have 5 legs? Or why does this horse have 3 ears? He might wonder. Did the Odiyan suck at shapeshifting? No, the anomaly was deliberate in order to lure the victims to come take a closer look, sorta like clickbait, and it worked like a charm every time. As the victim walked closer, that's the exact moment that the Odiyan was waiting for. His partner would pounce on the victim, who's taken completely by surprise. Quickly, the partner kills the victim. Just like skinwalkers, there's debate on whether the Odiyan could actually shapeshift. In fact, most people believe that the Odiyan could not shapeshift. That's because these encounters vanished almost overnight. And you'll never guess the reason why. Light bulbs. Electric lights reached the villages of Kerala in the late 1970s, especially the remote parts between villages, which was where the Odiyan would strike. With this, the encounters plummeted. That's why some people say that the Odiyan did not shapeshift, but used magic tricks to give the illusion of doing so, because with streetlights, one could see through this. Another blow to the Odiyan's side gig was the advent of modern courts and a legal system which helped resolve land issues between families without the need to hire a hitman. And so, with modern lights and a good law and order system, there were no more killer goats or bulls. That's why some locals say that the Odiyan could not shapeshift. Despite this, some people insist that the tantrics shapeshifted. You could also try your hand at shapeshifting. Just hit the subscribe button so that the numbers shift to something higher. Once again, it's important to note that not all Odiyan practice this sort of dark magic. It was only a small fringe group. Do you feel they had these powers? Please let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.